Okay, we're recording. This is From Speed Record Chat number 53. We have Henry Owings. How are you doing?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me, Joe.
It's a total privilege, of course. So, first off, as with everything, where are you?
I am in my office in downtown Atlanta. It's about 97 or 98 degrees outside. I don't know what that translates to Celsius, but I think in England you would call it hot as balls, or at least here we call it hot as balls. But I'm in my office where I've been working at pretty diligently for going on 20 years. It's like people come in and they just look around it. I'm like, dude, it's like it's a fun place to be.
So yeah, I'm not sure England has ever been as hot as what you've got it today.
No. I would think that any decent, pasty, malnourished English person would probably die if they were. Well, I say that, but it's like during the Second World War, like some of English, like England's best participation in World War II, amongst everything else, was the Secret Air Service, the SAS, which was in Northern Africa. And I mean, it was a little warm there. It was a little warm. So it's like, I think the English can, but as a general rule, if you live on the island, you're not ready for this. I remember when I first moved to Georgia, I didn't think I was going to be able to survive in this heat. And here it is now, like 30 years later, and it's like, it's a normal day. I'm used to it.
Oh, sounds absolutely horrific. And you've even got like some form of coat on. So I'm guessing you've got aircon in your room.
Well, I have air conditioning in the house. Yeah. And plus I hate being that guy that, wears a band shirt to try and like out impress everybody. So I wanted to kind of play it modestly, but it's a bootleg Sonics Rendezvous Band shirt.
Okay.
That I have a collection. Do you know who the Sonics Rendezvous Band are?
Rings a bell, not massively.
It's Fred Sonic Smith from the MC5, and it was his band after the MC5 in the 70s that,
of course,
I think by any metric you could ever imagine was pretty goddamn righteous. And they only released one song, but that song is the song you want to release, and it's called City Slang. And, there is a record label that named themselves that, but it is, I think, one of the great, sort of tragedies of the 1970s was a band like Sonic's Rendezvous Band couldn't get arrested. So they just cobbled all their money together to release one song. That's all they had. Like, that's all and so here it is, like 40 years later, and I have a bootleg shirt of a flyer that they did. I will say, it's like Detroit bands were nothing short of like working with great graphic designers. And, it's like I have a whole stack of MC5 and Sonics flyers that you just go, God, they're just so cool to look at. Yeah.
So you design sleeves then. This is where you're coming into here with your graphic design.
Well, I've been a self-taught designer for I called myself a designer in 1996. So it's right at 25 years ago. But I did it exclusively. It was not like I wanted to be a graphic designer. It's that I needed to be a graphic designer for my publication Chunklet, and like I was getting tired of asking my friend Chris at REM to always design stuff for me, so I taught myself. Originally it was all in MS Word.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the overrated book. Yeah. That was a culmination of issues 18 and 19, the overrated issues.
Yeah. So I've got like 3 or 4 of the books, but I'm in absolute turmoil here and I can't find them, but this is the one that's always picking around.
That is, that's my first book. And it's always weird for me to hear people say it's like, I didn't design that cover, by the way. My friend Scott Soseby did, but I look at those issues now and those magazines and the books, and I look at them in like I go, how the fuck did I do this? It's like it's not like I'm some rich kid.
Yeah.
It's like, that's Brian Walsby. God, what a great talent that guy is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like the reason I got into design was more out of necessity, not because I wanted to be a graphic designer. However, I was leaving Athens with no sellable skills. Yeah. So, and I was moving into Atlanta, and I said, well, I could work at an ad agency for $50 an hour. And that's what I did. That's how I learned. I learned on the job, which I always tell people is the best way to learn anything. Just don't be in school. Like, just go and do it.
And so you design sleeves for,
yes,
amongst other things.
Oh, that's the Shaggs. Yep. I didn't design. I mean, a lot of what I did for Light in the, but what I've done for Light in the Attic is kind of like what is my wheelhouse, which is restoration, right. taking a record that's been, largely it's like working for Light in the Attic was an absolute gas. They always just let me do whatever I want, but it's like when I started getting into record design and restoration, I really looked at those that I didn't like and said, that's what I don't want to do. And I think that the greatest compliments I can ever get as a designer is when they can't tell that I did anything, number one, and when you compare it to the original, it's identical. Which, it's like, again, like, I mean, it's like what we were saying before you started recording. Like, I like first pressings of records. I like subsequent pressings, but they're usually like, my neuroses are as such that, like, I like it to be perfect. If it's fucked up, I leave it fucked up. I don't reinvent anything.
So before we started recording, I was talking about the backdrop here, and I have a jackpot reissue of the Wipers thing, and I was pulled up upon it. That's fair enough.
Well, it's like what I was saying. It's like when you want to. I like to fortify my walls with like 100 records that I want to take with me to my grave. In an original pressing of Youth of America, I'll spend $100 on it. Not that I like making a habit of spending $100 on a record, but there's a few records that I go, yeah, I'll buy that.
So it makes sense if, say, you've got a few thousand records, to get rid of the worst 20 to finance.
Well, I think, see, like, I don't understand the hysteria of vinyl culture now, because, like, I mean, that's kind of like talking about the hysteria of walking culture. It's like I've been walking my entire life. I've been around record. I mean, you and I have been around records our entire life, and it's like I remember distinctly in like '92 when I put out a record. People would say, why did you put out a record? It's like, it's gone away. And I'm like, well, I think time has vindicated me, and time will continue to vindicate all us vinyl assholes. But I just, it's like my buddy Pete in Southend, he has a great description for all of these vinyl enthusiasts that try and mansplain record culture to assholes like us. Like, tell me how to pack a record and how to treat a record, and I'm like, motherfucker, you didn't even know how to wipe your ass. When it's like, I mean, I had my first 1,000 positive feedbacks on eBay, so don't tell me about you get what I'm saying?
That's a modern boast. I like it.
Absolute fucking punishers. And it's like, I'm not gonna put it. Always seems to be Italians, Dutch, and Germans that give me the worst time. And some of my best customers are from there. But good God, it's like, I don't know how you react to this, Joe, but when I get a record and it's slightly dinged up or whatever, like my record collection currently is filled with records like that. And the way I look at it, the record's supposed to live. It's not supposed to be hermetically sealed. Well, and it's like why I don't particularly care about like vinyl color and stuff like that. To me, it's like, as long as it sounds good, that's all I give a shit about.
Yeah, I mean, you say that.
Oh dear.
I have a reissue here.
Oh yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one. I'm like, speaking of Punishers, when we put that record out initially, people were in an outrage on some chat group. And yep, I'm very proud of that record.
This is Harvey Milk, by the way.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I did with them.
Yeah,
courtesy and goodwill. That is, I would say, conservatively, I would say that is one of the most Southern records I own. And anybody, well, because I don't listen to the record and hear, I mean, I hear their influences, but it's just such a, you couldn't make that record in Minneapolis. You couldn't make that record in Seattle, especially not when they were doing it. Like, they were not like, be careful how you handle that. Don't, make sure you handle it around the hole. Don't handle the hole correctly, Joe.
I think
you're the host. You know where to put the finger. You put the finger in the hole. Anyway, so you know, it's like when I look at doom or metal culture now with like the wizard beards and, you know, like the tatted up stuff, it's like if you looked at the three of the guys from Harvey Milk in 1992,
yeah.
They were that's not them, by the way. That's a painting of Saint Cecilia. But they I mean, they were just fucking weirdos. I think that's the only way to put it. You know, it's like they're just bizarre human beings. And that record, I remember when that record originally came out in 93, 94, how much space was in those grooves. Like there's so much, like, you know, like a lot of bands like want to go, Wah! And there's just these chasms of abstract heaviness. I don't know how else to put it, but nobody was doing that back then.
Well, this two things. One, I bought this direct from you. Okay. Back in the glory days when postage was less than records.
I'm so sorry.
So I don't buy so much from America now, and I'm sure the feeling goes both ways with that.
It's a terrible feeling. It's a terrible. I don't like. I'm getting ready to do this Tar box set, and we just. I'm really not looking forward to having to charge people what I'm having to charge them for postage. But it's my cost. It's literally my cost. So.
And the other thing regarding Harvey Milk and what you're saying about like the bearded doom fellas is it's interesting that you put this out. So you're not a bearded doom label, okay?
I'm about ready to start growing it out again.
Good.
But no, it's like I think it's an affect. I think it's that's a great record.
And that is on arguably a bearded doom label.
Well, if any.
My point being is they sort of cross over nicely between.
Well, if I may, there was a very small window where I represented Harvey Milk.
Yeah.
And I am the guy responsible for getting, I mean, ultimately Harvey Milk is responsible for getting Harvey Milk on Hydra Head, but I was the one who made the introductions.
Yeah.
And of course I forgot about the conference call. It was Kyle and Mark. And it was either Southern Lord or Harvey or Hydra Head, and the people at both labels have been very, very nice to me. But Hydra Head just seemed very hand in glove. Like it just seemed like a record that they would knock out of the park. And I mean, I'm really proud of Harvey Milk's career. They're a brilliant band.
Yeah. Well.
So funny story. I'm sorry to interrupt you. The funny story about that record, about 10 years before, I was trying to get in touch with the guy who financed it. I want to say the label, I'm probably going to get this wrong, is called 213. out of North Carolina. And as is often the case with Steven Tanner, he the bass player from Harvey Milk, he burned a bridge with the label owner. And so the tapes, it was the record they did with Bob Weston.
Yeah.
And I finally tracked him down through Gus from the band Grids and Power Takeoff. And he and so I talked to the guy on the phone, and he actually hung up on me.
Oh.
Yeah. And so that cassette that you see on that cover is from Kyle Spence's personal collection, and it was the only copy of that recording. It was taken from the cassette.
Yeah, that's what it says. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very first album by Harvey Milk, recorded by Bob Weston in '94, lovingly mastered in 2008 from this very cassette.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
It's badass.
yeah, it sounds leagues better than the shitty version you've been downloading.
Yes. Yeah. Kyle's a really good mastering engineer. He knows how to make it sound great. So.
Yeah. I don't know. Harvey Milk. So that's on your label. There's a couple of other things on your label here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go relevant to this country that I'm living in.
Do whatever you want, dude. Oh, yes. So, like, I became friends with Part Chimp quite early. Like, the first time they came to America, my friend Pete, who I've already mentioned in Southend, he sent me the Part Chimp record on Rock Action. And I knew the guys from Mogwai. And we were backstage, and I brought my copy to have Part Chimp sign, which is still over there in my collection. And Stuart, God bless him, Stuart was looking at the record, and he was looking at me, and he said, "How did you get this?" Like he was suspect of the means with which I got it, and I explained P, blah blah blah. But Part Chimp, I always thought that Part Chimp and Floor, the old Florida band, would just be like neck and neck as far as like this heaviness mixed with poppiness kind of thing. But you know, that era of Torche, I hold the proud distinction of being the guy who introduced the two bands in a parking lot in North Austin at a Chunklet party. And they played back to back to each other. And I did that deliberately because I was like, dude, they are going to eat up each other. They're going to think each other is the best band in the world. And this is before Torche Torche has always been kind of like on this trajectory. But Part Chimp, you know, it's always like, it's like 8 years of nothing and then a record and a bunch of touring and then nothing, you know? And so, when Part Chimp was getting ready to come over to America for a tour that I helped somewhat set up, I suggested to Torche that they do a record with Part Chimp, and they jumped at the chance. And I think that they didn't have any original material to offer, but they did 3 smoking Guided by Voices covers. Okay. And the artwork deserves a special note. 2 of my favorite people in the world did it. This guy, Trevor Claxton, who does like a sci-fi design, game design. He did the artwork, and the typography, like that shield in the upper corner, that was done by my buddy Nolan Stralls, who was in the band Double Dagger. And I think one of the greatest things of that record was that Ian from Part Chimp, he had guitar picks made with that Part Chimp logo on it. And so I was like, fuck yes. So yeah, I love Part Chimp. I think one of my favorite memories of them is opening up for them at a bar in Brixton with my buddy Brian from Manor Astroman. And it was one of the most punishing. I don't know how the guys in Part Chimp are hearing right now. I mean, I know that you've played some shows with them and everything, but it's just like they are just in a league of their own. They're just such great and great people. Yeah, yeah. I got a feeling that they're the band we've played most with in our whole time. Yeah. We must have played at least 30 times with them. Another thing about Part Chimp is one time I went to ATP, and I had an afternoon in London, and the band had to record something for this Beatles tribute on BBC, and they do Wild Honey Pie, and we're there, and we're it's like I'm just over in the corner, just like going, oh my God, I'm here while Chimp is recording, and they start doing vocals for the song, and I said I can hit the high notes, and they were like bullshit, and I was like, go, like play it, and so I'm listening to it bleed through a set of headphones. I don't even have a set of headphones. And I like, if you ever listen to that, it's like it's like the staccato, like it's like the really highest note, and that's me. And like when you hear at the end of the song, you go, that is just way too fucking loud, and they all laugh. That's because it's like, I mean, I'm doing this, but my ears are dying.
So was that recorded in Dropout?
It was in Is it like Camberwell? Is that it?
Yeah, because we did one for that. We did Long, all from the White Album, right?
No shit. Yeah, it was funny because that was the same weekend. It was a surreal weekend at ATP. David Cross was opening up for a lot of bands and was just absolutely murdered by the fans. Like he did not go over well. And then I don't know how it came about, but the Shins asked if I would introduce them because I had introduced Big Business earlier that day, and they were friends, and they said, yeah, would you introduce us? And so in front of 3,000 people, I got laughs as their head of security, John. And, it was, I'm told that it was broadcast by the BBC. So twice in one weekend, I go from zero, exposure on the BBC to 2. I was like, all right, oh, this is nice. I like, this is a pleasant change of plans. So,
yeah, no, that was it. Yeah, it was a tribute to I can't remember why. It must have been X amount of years since the White Album came out.
Yeah, it was something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something about the Beatles. That's all.
Yeah.
And of course, England never has to. You never have to go a couple of breaths without somebody in England mentioning how much the Beatles changed everything. So
yeah.
But it's not just England. It's like the world. I mean, it's like I saw that. What's it called? The producer, that Paul McCartney thing that he does with Rick Rubin. Have you seen that yet?
No.
It's really worth checking out, only because Paul McCartney has zero shits to give, and here he is with a bona fide like superstar producer, and it's like he's like pulling up the multi-tracks and like bumping up isolating the drums or isolating the backup guitar, and you go, holy shit, you were doing this when you were 25. I know a lot of people have misgivings about the Beatles, but I'm a huge Beatles fan. That was like the first band I ever got into.
Yeah, no, I love the Beatles. I don't care what. Yeah. And I if anyone's watching this and they don't like the Beatles, they're lying.
Well, if you don't like the Beatles and you have a copy of the Butcher album that you want to get rid of, get in touch. I'm sure we can come up with some sort of an arrangement. Get in touch with me through Joe.
Right, yes, do. Then we'll see.
So do you want me to show you any records?
Yeah, we're getting there. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. I'm easy.
Here's your man.
So have you ever lost a bet?
Go on.
Yeah. So I met Pete through my buddy Jez, who I traded tapes with back in the late 80s. We met each other through Flipside or Maximum Rock and Roll or something. But through that, I met Pete Wilkins, who was the drummer for that band in Southend. And in 96, 95, 96, I put on this CD with an issue of Chunklet that Sterling was on. And but in the meantime, Pete and I are the best of friends. I would candidly say he's one of the best. Apart from being just a great guy, is actually legitimately one of the kindest, nicest people I've ever met. And I've had a really gnarly last couple of years, and he's been very supportive. But I just said we should do a Sterling single because Sam has some renown as the scene in between guy, and yeah, but Pete literally just wrote everything down and sent me a cell phone photo of it, and it's like it's easy when you're supposed to make things look like shit, because then it's like nobody goes, oh, it looks like shit. It's like, well, funny that. But yeah, Pete and I have a very special relationship. I think there is nobody on the face of the planet I have drank more single malt scotch with than Pete Wilkins.
And you live hundreds and thousands of miles apart.
Well, what happened, I don't know if Pete told you, but we have gone to, I lost count. I mean, I know it was over 20 Altamar's parties in England. And, like when we were talking about like shipping rates, one of the great things about coming over to ATP is I would come over literally with nothing but product, like records and just records and magazines and shit, and carrying it, and being able to finance my entire trip overseas by selling that. It was never about making money. It was just about breaking even. And through that, Pete and I just spent countless hours at merch tables together. And the people at ATP, I must stress, were always unfalteringly generous to me and Pete. And because of that, we led a very good life in Camber, and then at Pontins out on the coast near Wales. What's the name of that city?
Minehead.
Is that what it is? Minehead? Okay, Minehead. And but yeah, Pete, like our diet of choice was baguettes, single malt scotch, cheese. Yeah, that's it. And we would go through ridiculous. I mean, I would say that we drank 2 entire bottles of single malt every time we got together, and to the point where it's like, to those that. The great thing about scotch is you can get drunk on it, but you get no hangovers from it. And well, as speaking only from my experience,
okay,
in a sample group of 1, that has happened. Like at the Lee Hazelwood box set release show, I got drunk with Susie Jane Holcomb. Do you know who she is? And she recorded the International Submarine Band, and she was like, Apple Records tried to get her over to England to work for Apple. Lee Hazelwood wouldn't let her, and it was one of the craziest, most surreal nights of my life. I'm getting drunk with Susie Jane Holcomb on single malt scotch. I had 16 shots of single malt scotch, and I woke up right as rain the next day. And David Yao was there too. He's probably one of the best photo retouchers I've ever worked with, and that's, it's like I used him a lot at Light in the Attic.
Oh really?
Mm-hmm. All the time. Yeah, like I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, it's like the Francois Hardy stuff, PIL. It'll all come to me. I mean, there have been so many records for Light in the Attic that I've done. It's hard for me to remember them all. But like Betty Davis, I want to say. So
you did some of the Numero stuff as well. Am I going
proudly? Yes, I'm actually working on one right now. Yeah, it's God, I which one is that? Oh, the Unwound, dude. So the Unwound boxes, all 4 of them. When I was asked to do it, I mean, I kind of introduced the 2 parties to each other. And it, like, I mean, come on, Unwound is one of the best goddamn bands of the 90s, hands down, no doubt about it. And when I was asked to do it, I kind of knew the trajectory visually of those Unwound boxes. And if you ever get the chance, if you want, I can show it to you right now, is the CD box set. Do you want to see it really quick?
Yeah,
Hold on. Entertain them, Joe. Hold on.
It's got red trousers on. So the Unwound boxes have the proper sleeves. Inside these killer outer sleeves. Maybe he'll.
So like what I did is each one has a book. There's an outer sleeve and inner sleeve where you repro, and then there was a book. And so this is actually the only record of mine that's out in the house. And this is the Unwound CD box. Is that upside down? It doesn't matter, it's punk rock. So this one, every booklet combines into
Nice.
It's one gigantic book.
Yeah.
And so that's worth it just there. But then what I did is I took all the photos that were black and white and I made them all color. You know, it's like whatever was color,
Yeah.
I made that.
Yeah. Nice.
So like I kind of spend a lot of time thinking about the little things, and you know, a lot of designers will notice it, but normal, you know, like record buyers, as I consider myself one,
Yeah.
It's just black ink. You know, it's like I want it. It's like it shouldn't be fancy. It should be the opposite of fancy, and that's why, like the way the trajectory of Unwound goes through. Yeah, I love those shots. I eat shots like that up because it's like whenever it's like looking into the human fishbowl. It's like I love it. And so what I tried to do was with the paper, kind of like tell the story. You know, it's like you have the first one, which is the craft paper, and then it kind of goes into the manila paper one, which is more like the Trouble Man sort of vibe. And then it goes, it goes all white, and then it goes dark. And that's exactly what I wanted. The fourth one is dark. And then I wanted this box to come out and for it to be a revelation. You know, it's like that's foil with black. And I was just like, oh my God, this. And so, yeah, this is one of those things I am super, super, super proud of. You know, it's like working with Husker Du, White Zombie. I'm doing something for them right now. It's like,
it's that for anyone who's not got one, I've got 3 of them. I'm missing one. But yeah, they're just beautiful. These Unwound boxes are absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. It was, you know, I think Ken and I kind of come from the same scene in different parts of the country, but we came from the same kind of scene. And, you know, he went into one direction, I went into another. And, but when he started the 200 series, which started with Codeine, he asked if I would be interested. And Codeine was the first box that I did. And, man, getting to work with one of the things I love about Numero, there's a few things I love, but one of the things I love the most is that they never made me concept anything. It was just, you know, it's like they might change a thing here or there, but it was normally 98% of what I suggested we do, which is uncommon. It's like it's usually, you know, like rounds of revisions and, you know, like everything, but they were like, cool, send it off to print. So yeah,
well, they look incredible. So
thank you.
Yeah,
I'm very, very proud of them.
Yeah, it's hard just to not buy them, even though you've got the music already. It's
what? Oh, dude, are you kidding? So to go back to the CD, if you ever want to get rid of the vinyl, if you get the CD version, it comes with all the bonus albums that were done for each record. You know about the bonus records, right? Yeah. So it's like all of it comes right here, and it's like you can just download it, and
God damn, yeah. Really
it saves so much space.
I know. So, did you do a Bitch Magnet one as well? Was that a different label?
I did not work with Bitch Magnet. I would have loved to, but I had nothing to do with that. That was Jeremy Devine. He did the design and he released it.
Yeah. So that's
Temporary Residence.
Temporary Residence. Yeah. Have you read that book?
Your Band Sucks. I did.
He's quite a miserable bastard, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, it's like yeah. It's
a good book. I like it, but goddamn.
Yeah, he's it's kind of like the guys in Harvey Milk. Being a malcontent is something to aspire to, which I have never gravitated towards. I'm kind of the opposite of that. And I just always prefer being very positive and happy. And, it's like people look at Chunklet, and you can say whatever you want to about me and Chunklet, but it's like, it's like, as the English would say, I just want to have a laugh.
Yeah.
And if you have a problem with that, yeah, it's like, I mean, I'm very proud of, like being, like a shit stirrer for good. It's like I think we need more of those. I'm not saying that to make myself seem important as much as, like, when I came up, like, I used to really love how Albini would just stir shit up in the pages of Forced Exposure or the new issue of Your Flesh or whatever, or Conflict. And I think that there's no better time to stir shit up than in the moment. And it's like trolling is one thing, but I think, like lovingly and respectfully sort of like fucking with people. Yeah, I'm into it.
So, okay, we're going to get onto records right now, but
we're not on records now.
Not your record, but one question. Who is the biggest asshole in rock?
As of the time of that issue, there was an issue of Chunklet where there were the 100 biggest assholes in rock. The biggest asshole was, and I stand by it, the Butthole Surfers, because of what they did to Touch and Go, and I stick to my guns on that. I don't know both sides of the story, but I do know Touch and Go. And Albini was on the cover. I've always had a lot of respect for him, musically, but also just as a person. I've always, it's like doing shows at Whirly Ball was largely inspired by him, because I just like the idea of recontextualizing what a rock show is. It's like, and it's like, it's one thing when you're shellacking, you can do that, but it's another when you're living in Southern North America and trying to get a decent sized band to play in a strip mall north of town. But it's like I've never made any bones about that. I've always been very inspired by him.
Yeah. He's one of those people I like watching interviews by regular. I watch all of his interviews. I don't know. There's a few people like him, and I don't know, like all the big names. I might not listen to their music so much anymore, but I love watching them talk still. Yeah,
like Henry Rollins is one of those motherfuckers. It's like, man, you couldn't Black Flag I'll listen to all goddamn day, but I'll be hard pressed to think of a Rollins band record I've listened to, but I swear to God, I will watch every interview with him, because I find that we're kindred spirits. I know. I mean, he's on a much higher level, but he's a dork. He's an absolute music collecting dork, and same with Ian, his best friend from fucking childhood. Yeah. It's like they're erudite. It's like what they say makes sense and it's pertinent, and you don't have to know the people involved to get what they're talking about.
Exactly. And so I can eat that shit up all day long. Right. Let's talk about records finally. Your records.
Okay.
I send you a list like I do with everyone. It's the same.
Yes. Okay. So just to clear the air, Joe.
Whoa.
Do you need to talk first, or do you need me to talk?
I want a record from your favorite record shop, but you can do it however the hell you want to do it.
Okay. So I am going to, as the English would say, I'm going to take the piss, because I'm going to just turn around right here and let you see, like, this is about half of my collection here. And I started with that box right there. And that is the 7-inch box. That's just A and B. Okay. And I just didn't want to go through all my goddamn records. No offense. So I just went to A and B, and this is it. It's just A and B singles. And so I'm going to kind of take over, but I think you'll like the way that the direction's going to go. So I wanted to start off with records that were given to me, and tell kind of the stories behind each. This is the first Bedhead single, and it was given to me by Billy at Shake It Records. And I had worked on the Bedhead box, but I even asked, whenever I work on a lot of this stuff, I'll just ask the band, it's like, do you have any extra copies of this? Like, I mean, like, I'll pay for it, but he knew I was looking for it. He sent me the first Bedhead single. So Shake It Records. I already have one shout out down, because Shake It Records, if you're ever looking at best record stores in America and Shake It Records isn't listed, the writer is full of shit.
Where is Shake It Records?
Shake It Records is in Cincinnati, Ohio. I would be hard pressed to think of a better record store in Ohio. This was given to me by the drummer for Tar. This is the Big Black Rima Rima single, and it's directly from Steve. Like, after I did the singles comp for Tar, he said, "Are there any records you're looking for?" And I said, "I'm really looking for this Rima Rima single." And it just, like that, and a test pressing of the first Tar single just showed up on my doorstep. So, Mike Greenlee's. Before he became the guy who runs Third Man Records, Ben Blackwell, well, he co-runs Third Man Records. But when he was a teenager living at his mom's house, he was the drummer for the Dirt Bombs, still is the drummer for the Dirt Bombs, but he runs Third Man Records along with Ben Swank. Right. He extolled the virtues of the Seattle band A-Frames.
Oh yeah.
And he did what I would always do, which is like buy like a dozen of a record and just give it out to people. And this was a copy he gave me. That is an absolutely perfect band. Absolutely perfect. This is a two-parter. So the first time I met Arc Welder, they were opening up for the Jesus Lizard at Max's on Broadway in Baltimore, Maryland, 1992. And they had just received these records. This was their release on Duophonic. There's Cliff from Stereolab right there. But this is an Arc Welder record on Stereolab's label. Anyway, they gave this to me. And to not be outdone, at my 50th birthday party, I asked for them to play, and they're on stage, and one of the Graber brothers, he said, "Henry, do you have," while they're playing, he said, like, what, in between songs? Yes. Well, in between songs, he said, "Hey, Henry, do you have a copy of our first single?" And I was like, "No." And he goes over to his guitar case and pulls out a copy of the first Arc Welder single for me, when they were called Tilt-A-Whirl. Anyway, am I doing okay so far?
Well, two things. One,
sure.
For whatever reason, I didn't know that Arc Welder did a single on Stereolab.
Yeah, I know. Well, but I never seen a copy in America. Duophonic records are impossibly difficult to find over here. And fortunately, I've always had Pete as my man on the ground trying to find stuff. Like that Nurse with Wound Stereolab record is just a masterpiece. The Simple Headphone Mind. Yeah, I mean, because of him, I have a hell of a lot more duophonic records than most people in America do.
Carry on.
Anyway, so next are I'm going to go through some of my favorite record stores. And again, this is all just records from A and B. Okay. This is God, I love this record so much. This is In the Street by Big Star.
All right.
It's an original pressing of the first single. And I bought this record at a store in Red Lion, Pennsylvania, from a gentleman whom he is get this, he is an MMA fighter from Birmingham, England. Birmingham, England? Yeah, Birmingham. And he fell in love with a gal from Red Lion, PA, and moved over and has this killer record store called Tom's Music Trade. And that was one of the first things. How much did I pay for that? $30. I know I didn't pay $30 for it, but I'm a huge Big Star fan. It's like, maybe it's a very American thing. I don't know. This is another one of my absolute all-time favorite records that I bought at one of my favorite record stores. That is, this is the Trouble at the Cup single by Black Randy and the Metro Squad. I bought it at Permanent Records in LA a number of years ago, and I still have the price tag on there. It says $50. I know I did not spend $50 on it. Whatever Lance charged me, it was. Black Randy is like one of my all-time favorite artists, and so I had to have. I mean, I have all three of the singles, but this was one. Permanent Records. Blah blah blah. Anyway, another one of my favorite record stores, also in Amoeba, is Amoeba, where I bought this, the first Bangles single, which when they were called originally the Bangs, but then they changed their name to the Bangles, and the price tag is still on it, and it says $19.99. But again, if you've ever been to Amoeba, it is one of the most incredible record stores. It's almost unfair to call it a record store alongside other record stores. It's amazing. Anyway, so Amoeba.
I've never been there.
I would say every Atlanta record store is like a home away from home, because it's just like I've lived here for half my life, and record stores, like, I've been very lucky. They have all been ridiculously nice to me over the years. And here are two copies of the first B-52 single, different labels. That's why I have it. But this was put out by a gentleman that owns Wax and Facts in Little 5 Points. But fittingly enough, I bought this at Wuxtree. So, but yeah, like Ella Guru, Criminal, like, I mean, there's a lot of great record stores in Atlanta. So anyway, local shout out. And now these next records are largely ones that I never spent a lot of money for. And when I say a lot of money, I'm talking usually $2 or $3. And I'm going to start, again, this is all just A and B. This is just stuff that I found that I love. This is the first Apple single. But Robert started the Elephant Six Recording Company with his friends Jeff, Will, and Bill. And they went on to Neutral Hotel and the Olivia Tremor Control. But this, I found 5 of this in a record store in DC in like the year this came out. And I bought all of them, like all on the spot. And I think they must have consigned them at that store, and I came in the next day or something, but there were 5 of this, like look like they haven't even been breathed on. Anyway, cheap record. Here's another cheap record I bought back in the day, the first Boredom single. And the price tag is still on it. It's $3. Where did I buy this? Street Side Records. I have no idea where that is.
Jimmy Disc, what label put that
out? This was Public Bath. Like Public Bath was like a very it was like a label in the Midwest in Madison, Wisconsin that like I just have a lot of records on that label. And again, as an American, so much of this was difficult to find let alone find it in the South. Like, you know, like stuff on Flying Nun or Expressway, forget it. You know, it's like it's like the only place you could find stuff like that was New York, Chicago, you know, like San Francisco. In Atlanta, it was impossible to find. But this I got in like, I'm going to say like 91, maybe. Anyway, the next three is a trifecta, and this is none of these records I spent a lot of money on. And when I say a lot, I'm talking $2-3. Breadwinner. There's the first Breadwinner single. There's the second Breadwinner single, and there is the third Breadwinner single. And Breadwinner was Pen Rawlings from Honor Roll. It was his band after he had this band called Butterglove. And it's, when you think about math rock, as far as how it progressed in the 90s, this is the fucking Rosetta Stone of it. It's like, it tells you everything you need to know about what's going to happen in the 90s. And all three singles together don't equal 30 minutes. And but absolutely confounding, like Stop on a Dime, like no Breadwinner, no Don Caballero. You know, it's like it's like there's so many bands that owe their career to these three singles. I mean, and if some of us actually saw Breadwinner, they played very little, but Penn, I got to see Breadwinner open up for the Jesus Lizard in DC, and absolutely blew me away. And none of this was out when that happened. It was like, what the? It was just, it blew me away. The next two here, these are, you can find these records anywhere. They're not very expensive, which boggles my mind because Damon from Don Caballero turned me on to this band, The Boys from Nowhere. And it's kind of like, imagine, if you will, sort of like an Ohio bent on, you know, sort of like Back from the Grave comps. It's really like for the late 80s, early 90s, this stuff is great. And they did a number of records, 2 full lengths, 3 full lengths, I think, desperately in need of rediscovery. And perhaps this will help spark that. But Boys from Nowhere, I have everything by them. And this was in the A&B box. Next is a record. I have another band. I have all of their records, and none of them are expensive. God, I'm going to show you this, but just know I put a sticker over the offensive part. It's a band from Philadelphia called Blue, and it is absolutely, without a doubt, like one of the most AMREP sounding bands that wasn't on AMREP in like 1991. The back cover is personally one of my favorites. It's like it was on the Data Panic label, which you may or may not remember put out the first New Bomb Turk single.
Yeah.
Anyway, and finally, this is I have everything this band ever did, and this was just one of the very few records I have where it's like, oh, holy shit. It was like, I think it was like $8 or something. And it was so cheap because the sleeve is slightly tattered, but yeah. So that was my stack. That was just A and B. So if you want, I can just go and pick stuff out. And that was all, ladies and gentlemen. That's from that box right there. The one with the Loki label and pylon stickers on it. So
yeah. So you still a 7-inch record fan?
Yeah, I'm a glutton for punishment. I don't know why. Ken at Numero he turned me onto this book. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but I think it is very prescient for what's going on in the vinyl world right now. And it was basically explaining exclusively the baseball collector sort of like microcosm, and like how that went out into the stratosphere and then the bottom fell out and then everybody's like whatever. But I think the is it the allegory or the analogy could be made that the record sort of the record industry is kind of going through the baseball cardification of the product, as it were. And I don't know. It's like I just, the thing I love about 7 inches is like you kind of have to put it all out there at once. It's like you can't phone it in. It's like you don't waste people's time. Like there's this band from Philadelphia that I've worked with called Honey Radar, and they when I started working with them, I told them very specifically, I said, I can hear what you're doing on your records, but I don't want anything. I don't want the meandering shit. I want jams. I want you to rock people out for like whatever it is, 8 minutes or 10 minutes. And I'm very proud to say that they listened, and we put out an LP of all of them. Hold on. We did an album. I hate the self-promotion, but fuck it. This is the record that collects all the 7 inches I did with them. This is Honey Radar, and I absolutely love this band. And I even got to go on tour with them. Did whatever you want to call it. I hate saying I did stand-up comedy, but I definitely stood on a microphone on a stage in front of people. But I wouldn't call it stand-up as much as like me being a horse's ass. So.
Were people laughing at you or with you?
A little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. Like as I always have found, my favorite thing in the world is just to make the band that's about to go on stage laugh, because it's like it's nobody. I mean, people barely can pay attention to a loud fucking band on stage. What makes you think that a guy with a mic standing on a microphone is going to do any better? So the way like Patton Oswalt taught me that is like just you have the microphone, so just go up there and do your thing. Like don't back off. You're the only one people should be allowed to hear, so go for it. Yeah. So yeah, like opening up for like major stars and Bardo Pond and Honey Radar. That was a dream come true. That was so much fun.
Have you ever played
music? Long time ago. I was in a band for I think like 3 shows in Athens called a Mercy Union. They did 2 singles, A Mercy Union, and Gordon and I wrote about it in Chunklet, and it kind of soured our relationship. But I think I can play tolerably, but I'm not good. And nor did I particularly care for practice. It's like I just look at it as a gigantic time suck, and so that's largely why I didn't do it and went and did Chunklet instead.
Yeah.
And I don't like carrying SVT cabinets up 2 flights of stairs. So,
well, here's a record that you put me onto.
Sure.
Or a band you put me onto. I don't know if it's specifically.
I don't know what it is, so let's see it.
It's a charmingly titled band.
Oh, Cunts. Yeah. I love that. God, I love that band so much. There's so many great Australian bands coming out. I mean, like, which seems like since the 60s. But Pete, we kind of like geeked out about Cunts together, and they played here in Atlanta, and I just was like, oh, is that the Permanent Records pressing? Yeah. I record a lot of shows. Like that's kind of like my dork quotient. And I recorded Cunts that night. And after they got home from tour, they wanted to do a live record from that tour. And I sent them the recording that I did. And it was okay. It wasn't some of my best work. But I just said, do you want to do a record together? And that's how I got to put out I think it's called Here Come the Rude Boys. The Real Boys. Yeah, this is, again, self-promotion. That's the live Cunts record. What a great band. What a great goddamn band.
Yeah, so it just stuck in my mind. I was going through my stuff today, and that's one of the records that you definitely turned me on to.
Yeah, their song "Bin Day" on the other record that they did is one of my that, and It Never Felt Better. I mean, just a great goddamn band. Yeah. So great.
And I have one more. I don't know. I've got one more record I want to talk about with you. And I've never heard you talk about them or anything. It's just I don't know anyone apart from my pal Chris. Hi Chris, who likes.
Hey Chris.
And it's I'm hoping you're going to have some information regarding the band Evergreen.
No. I mean, the only information I have is that there's only a handful of things I know about Evergreen, and none of them are going to be particularly substantive. All I know is Britt Walford's band, and he's kooky, and for a while, I want to say I might be speaking out of turn, but fuck it, I'll apologize later. I would have sworn that if you contacted Bob Weston, he would send you an unreleased Evergreen record. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But like I remember for a number of years, like he was just trying to get word out about it, and he recorded it. But I really don't know anything about Evergreen. As a general rule, I admire Louisville bands from afar. They can be a little kooky as people, but fortunately their music is all you really care about. It's like that band Old Baby, spectacular band, but so many bands come from Kentucky that Evergreen never really played out. Weren't they like Chicago or something?
See, this is
is that the one on Carrot Top?
It's on Highball Records.
Highball, which is like part of it. Yeah, it's like the guys from the Cocktails. I might be wrong, but it's the guys from the Cocktails. That's their record label. But I mean, I am officially out of information on Evergreen.
No. Okay, that's a shame.
If you want, I can riff. I mean, I could make up.
No. I just need more information. And no one ever
give you some shitty info, or as the kids call it, shinfo.
Yeah. But really, recorded by James Murphy.
Sorry?
Recorded by James Murphy.
Oh, woo-hoo-hoo.
I know, right?
Yeah, man, I'm sure he knows how to put a microphone somewhere.
Yeah. So I send these lists, and you've just gone off piece and hit me with like 10 7-inches.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like I could go through. I mean, it's like, let me know what I missed. It's like, because it's like largely I was just like, man, I'm like I don't want to go. No offense, Joe, but I don't want to go through 2 times of this to find exactly the most heartfelt, the most sort of like nuanced answer. It's like I think I did okay. Is there anything I didn't get to?
No, it was good. You're claiming to be a busy man. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not a busy man. I hate just going and looking through my records for the sake of an interview when I could probably pick one box and find everything I need. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like I don't have to. I'm not trying to impress you as much as to say, dude, I think I got it. It's in one box. And I didn't even go the whole way through B. I got to B. What's breadwinner? I got to BR. Oh, all right.
Yeah, totally in alphabetical then, like even like the second letter.
Oh yeah. I mean, alphabetized. Am I saying that wrong?
You're on your own. You are on your own. Go on.
God, alphabetized.
Yeah. Okay. I don't edit these.
I never have a problem saying that word. Alphabetized. I wish I could say I'm drunk or something, but no. I mean, I'm just drinking Coke Zero. That's about it.
So, okay, the last question then. Tell me about a record that people wouldn't think you'd like. That's interesting.
See, so you asked that, and I mean this with respect and humility, but I don't really spend a lot of time wondering what people think I do or don't listen to. And that's going to be my answer because like I'm a punk rock guy. I'm a noise guy. I'm an abstract guy. I'm like a noise guy. I'm just a dude, you know, it's like, I just, whatever I'm into, that's what I'm into. But as far as like what I would be surprised, what people would be surprised that I own, fuck if I know. I mean, it's like, because I'm not doing this as a fashion statement. This is just who I am. So, I'm sorry, I can't give you a better answer than that. Like, I don't have a fucking Fleetwood Mac record because they suck. I don't have, you know, it's like, you know, there are just some truisms in this world. And one is, why would I have time for shitty records? It's like, if it's good, I'm going to have it. But if it's not good, it's not going to come in here. And I mean, but that's what, I mean, your record collection is a very personal sort of statement. And you know, it's like, if you were here in my office right now, Joe, I would just be like, tell me what would surprise you. Because it's like, I mean, we're both dorks. You know, it's like, what? I mean, it's like the birthday party and the B-52s share nothing in common other than like guitar, bass, and drums. You know, it's like, but there's nothing, you know, it's like, to me, it's just like, I just like to kick out the jams. That's it. You know, it's like, life is short. So I'm sorry I can't give you a better answer than that. I'm going to push. How about this? Ask me, like, pivot. Ask me something else. Ask me to pronounce the word to like get records in the correct alphabetical organization.
Oh, okay.
Alphabetized. I can't believe I couldn't get that word out.
Okay. We you know, we won't drag this out too long. Don't stress.
Well, I mean, I think that the one viewer we have is probably fast forwarded through the majority of this. So
no.
They just want the sweet shot. They want me to take my shirt off, right? Do you want me to take my shirt off? It's not going to happen.
When all else fails, you get naked, right?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny. I toured with Manor Astroman once, and they played this place called Mama Kin in Boston. And Hayden, the guitar player, he got in an altercation with one of the big brother sort of like security guys. And he stripped totally naked because, as he said, nobody wants to fight a naked man. To which I would say, well, I'd totally fight a naked man. It wouldn't be a very fair fight though. So
let's call it a day then. I'm good.
No, come on. Something else. One last thing. Come on, Joe.
All right, talk to me about. I wanted to show some records that. Okay, it's the 90s. Vinyl's dying, right? But people like me and you are still buying them.
Yes, the actual words combination of, in quotes, the vinyls had not been uttered for another 20 years.
Yeah.
Go.
So we're buying records through the 90s because it's a horse fit for glue and we're total losers, right?
Yeah.
For example, records that are getting reissued, but were.
Oh, God, I love that goddamn record.
So
yes. Oh, my God.
Yeah, so you buy it when it comes out, and because they probably only make like 500. This is Matador. I don't know what it was on in America.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Chavez are one of those bands that I bought every one of those records at the time, and you know, it's like there's so many records like that where it's like you couldn't give them away.
Yeah,
and you know, the band, the Olivia Tremor Control, I put out. I reissued a couple of their records, and it started with like in 1997, when those records first came out on vinyl. Like I remember at the shows, they would say, "Do you want any copies?" And it wouldn't be like, "Do you want one?" It'd be like, "Do you want three?" You know, it's like, because it's like they couldn't, like people weren't buying them.
Yeah.
And I just remember taking them, and you know, they always found good homes. But then one day I went to look for my copy, and a girlfriend had stolen my Olivia Tremor Control records. So I contacted the band and I said, "Could you send me copies?" And they said, "Dude, this is pre-Discogs." They said, "Go on eBay. You're not going to find one for less than $100." And that's when I was like, "Oh my God!" Like it wasn't even considered that it should ever be a collector's item. It just seemed so beautifully evergreen, and that's why I asked the band if I could reissue those. But Chavez, dude, there's only a handful of bands I love more than Chavez, and I've yet to see them perform. But I had a funny night with Matt Sweeney once after an Iggy Pop show here in town. He's a hoot. He's a hoot.
I like watching his guitar YouTube chats.
Oh no shit. Yeah, he's just so much fun. Like he's so full of life, and you know, he smiles. I think that's what I like. He's always smiling and just.
Yeah, he's from what I can tell, I don't know him at all, but he seems like a very much glass half full sort of person.
Oh, dude, yeah, he's great.
Yeah. So yeah, like that's just it. I did drag the Bedhead record out, but this is the sort of like crap that was like really cheap when it was released.
Well, it was flimsy. You can always tell original pressings because they're really flimsy. Like you can you know, when you do one of these jobs, like when you're pulling the record out, and you can just go like this, and it just go womp 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 womp. But this one, I mean, it's like it again, it's just like in the early 90s, you know, like Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Soundgarden records, they were made on the shittiest presses, and like it's so funny how in a certain way those are desired when in actuality, you know, it's like one of my absolute all-time favorite records is My Bloody Valentine, Loveless. Mm-hmm. And I have an original copy of that I bought at the time.
Yeah.
And it sucks. I mean, it's like the mastering sucks. It's cut really soft. It's just, there's nothing about it that sells the record. You know, it's like, it's I think the reissues did a hell of a lot better with it than the originals did.
Yeah, I've got the My Bloody Valentine one. Still has a £5.99 sticker in the corner.
Dude, it's like I did you ever get to see them back then?
No.
They they were one of the first bands I saw when I moved to Athens, and they played with Dinosaur Jr. And it was, to this day, other than maybe Sun O, whatever you call them, one of the loudest shows I've ever seen in my life,
Yeah.
or heard in my life. Loudest show I heard in my life. It was blistering.
Yeah, they love that. They love to play on that, don't they? The white noise.
Well, I'm good with that. I it's like part Chimp. It's like I like it when a band makes a part of their sound the volume, because there are some things that can't be replaced by volume. It's like that feeling where it's just like your chest is caving in. It's like that. It's like, whereas I'm not saying I would want to have that every day. It is certainly something I've really learned to enjoy. And wear good earplugs. Oh my God, wear good earplugs.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't work with all the band. You're not going to go see the Shins and expect to have.
Yeah.
But look, the last time that happened to me, felt that was seeing the Bug, like 5 or 6 years ago. Same. It was like but it's more dubby sort of thing. It just, I felt like my lungs were shaking. It was insane. I couldn't.
Yeah. I think the most lung rattlingly loud show I ever heard, but it wasn't loud. It was perfect. It was crystalline. Was Mogwai at Whirlyball, and that is it was perfect. But it was just it was because it was such a small room. You didn't really have a lot of places you could run from it. It was just all consuming. It was like a dome of hum, or whatever you want to call it. It was amazing.
Well, that volume is very, like, you can see a band in a tiny room and they just have their amps cranked and it's really, really loud, but sometimes it can just be unpleasant volume. Like if it's,
Yeah, well, there's volume and then there's distorted volume. But it's like Mission of Burma, I've probably seen, they are one of the loudest shows I ever saw. Butthole Surfers are one of the loudest shows. But I always wear earplugs now. And, it's like, I think it's a cheat, but, it's like when your ears start ringing, it's like, you got to take it fucking seriously. And not that I haven't before, but it's when you hit middle age, you have to protect what little hearing you have.
Yeah. So do you have any plans for the future? What you're working on?
Oh God. I'm designing a book for the English band Pulp right now.
Oh, right.
And let's see, doing a couple of doing like Numero stuff, and I'm designing a book about American folk artist Steve Keen. Do you know who he is? Like, you would know his work if I pulled it out. Hold on, I'll show you. You've seen his work. Everybody's seen his work. Where is it? All the Saints. If I can't find it quickly, I'm giving up on this. Here it is. You've seen his work. You've seen his work everywhere. But this is one. You've seen his work. Just trust me. He's one of the most prolific folk artists of the 20th century. Okay. I'm putting out some records. It's funny that I just mentioned Mogwai. I'm about ready to put out a record with them, but it's not a record with Mogwai. What happened is I play racquetball. Racquetball is my sport. I guess in England you might call it squash, but it's not squash. It's racquetball. And I wanted to record a match for later use, but I just didn't want to put up mics in the room because it would just sound echoey and reverby. Instead, I wanted all the walls microphoned. I wanted the racket microphone. I wanted close mic'd. I wanted thuds and chirps. That's what I wanted. I didn't want the echo. So I had a recording engineer come in and he did 8 tracks of me playing my buddy Lockett from Deer Hunter and recorded the whole set. Over the pandemic, it just occurred to me, I was like, I should ask Mogwai if they want to do something with this. And so I just hit up Barry and I told him my idea. I said, you can do whatever you want with this recording, but just like I told him my kind of like my sketch of it, which is I said, I want you to take this recording and like just stretch it out and make it so it doesn't sound like a racquetball game. And he turned it in and it's fucking great. And so it's my God, this is it's a joke more than anything. But my my racquetball pen name is The Crease, which is where the wall and the floor meet in racquetball, and it's called The Crease. So it's called The Crease versus Mogwai. And that's, I mean, it's getting, I mean, we're at the test pressing phase right now. And I even asked Barry, I said, I mean, could we call this, like it's The Crease, like it's my record, but the record is called Versus Mogwai. So that's,
wow.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Well, I mean, it's like I can send you the SoundCloud to it. It's preposterous. It's very, like you listen to it and you go, this doesn't sound like a Mogwai song. But it's like, well, what the fuck does a Mogwai song sound like? You know, it's like, and Barry, as with everybody in Mogwai, really loved jumping outside of his skin and, you know, like jumping out of the Mogwai bubble.
Yeah.
And just did this really heavy, really doomy record. And you just go, yeah, that's me playing racquetball.
So here's the thing. What's the difference between racquetball and squash?
It's all I know. I don't know the specific answer as much as I know that the room in squash is smaller. The ball is flatter, as in it doesn't have as much action. And it's kind of boring. I don't know how I've watched it played a couple of times and it just bored me. So because it's like whenever I go to play racquetball, there's a squash court there. When I see people playing, there's never anybody playing squash. But if they are playing squash, I'll look and I just go, that looks boring. And I just move about. So yeah, other than that, I'm doing a record with my buddy Robert Schneider from the Apples in Stereo. He invented a device. This is insane. He built a device to read your mind to make music. And it's called, the record is called the Teletron Ensemble. He is now he is a doctor in mathematics. And I told him, I said that this record is going to be like your coming out party as like the Tony Conrad of the math set, because it's just very obtuse. But you know, I love it. But yeah, like again, another record, we're at the test pressing phase. And it's called the Teletron Ensemble. And dude, again, you know, it's like, I mean, I have said and repeated over and over and over again that I am a hobbyist in putting out records. And it's like, I'm not a record label. I don't want to be a record label, but my friends trust me and they know that it's going to look good and I have really good distribution. And so I feel like it would be a crime if I didn't just get off my ass and put out some records here and there. Certainly not for monetary gain as much as like, well, if I don't do this, nobody else will. And there's some killer local labels right now. You know, like there's this band Warm Red I'm a huge fan of. I mean, God, there's just so many great local bands right now. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But you know, it's like how many 52-year-olds go out 3-4 nights a week to see shows? You know, it's like I'm touched in the head.
That's you. You're the guy that goes out 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah. Yeah, why not? I mean, dude, the clubs are right at the end of my street. Like, I mean, I could hop on my bike and be there in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I can go to the Earl, I can go to 529. I can smoke weed in the parking lot. You know, it's a good feeling. I mean, the pandemic has kind of thrown a spanner into things, but for the most part, you know, it's like that'll go away. You know, it's like I love the 18-year-old that begged to get into sold out Fugazi shows. It in me feels like I need to do this. So like, because there were so many opportunities I didn't get when I was a kid that I feel like are at my doorstep right now. So that's why I do it.
That's what drives you.
Among other things, that, and when, you know, you have it, once you have a number of your friends die from misadventure, you know, like be it mental health issues or drinking themselves to death, I do it as a tribute to them. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm counting the days before I die, but I know I'm going to die. And I would rather be right now doing what I want to do and working with my friends than just sit around and wait to die. It sounds really sad.
No, oh my God. Like, I mean, exactly the same.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you doing our interview right now. It's like you know, it's like there's so many things that I am doing now currently that before the pandemic, it never so much as occurred to me. I started painting my house, and I've got through that. I've been asked to do murals around the country. I just did one in Lexington, Kentucky, and for the first time since I was a child, I started scale model building. Which again, I hadn't done since I was like 17. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm really enjoying life right now. And I think that, you know, life is to live, as Rob Tyner from the MC5 says. You know, it's like, and I'm here to live it. So, yeah.
That is a good place to end.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Joe. Thank you. And hopefully we will get this behind us that I can't say alphabetize.
I'm not even going to try.
I can't believe I was having such a difficult time saying that goddamn word.
So let's wave goodbye, and then we'll say goodbye properly once I press stop, okay? Bye-bye.
Okay. Peace.